up, Business Freedom Podcast listeners? So hopefully you had a chance to listen to the last podcast episode where I went really deep into what we call at Real Estate B School, the time freedom system. And it's all about getting your life back with the time freedom system. So this is a bit of a follow-on episode. I'm going to cover some new content here. It relates to, and the title of this podcast is 3 productivity must-dos when growing a team. So Real Estate B School, the conversations we have are with folks that are building something outside of themselves. We do not work with solo real estate agents. That is 98% of the industry. Do not sell more than 2 homes per month. So it's just doesn't mean you can't listen to the podcast. It means that we probably can't work together until you get to the point where you've scaled the business a little bit. You've got an administrator. You've got a little bit of leverage on the buyer side. We also work with folks come into us at 4 or 5 million GCI, and we're able to help them. So these productivity must-dos, they'll apply to anybody. I'm going to have a conversation with you, you being the podcast listener, as it relates to, growing a team and, making that shift from production, selling homes to, being more of a manager, which is building systems and hiring people to run the systems, to a leader, which is about casting vision and, that sort of thing. And then owner, it's this progression that we're looking to kind of take you down that path. So number 1 is, especially of hard charging business builders, we need to maintain an attitude of gratitude and a daily practice of gratitude. I use something called 5-minute journal, where it's just a constant reminder. In the morning, it's the 3 things you're grateful for. And at night, it's 3 amazing things that happened today. Very simple. It's actually less than 5 minutes. It constantly has you looking at all the awesome things that are happening in your life and that you're grateful for. This is, if you've ever heard of Dan Sullivan's Strategic Coach, you can go to YouTube and type Dan Sullivan gap gain. He talks about that business owners, entrepreneurs live in the gap where we're never reaching our goal and we never look back to give ourselves credit for what we've actually achieved. That's the gain. We're always in the gap because we always set this unrealistic ideal for ourselves that's unattainable because it's always moving. It's this insanity, this completely vicious, stupid cycle that we submit ourselves to. The solve for that is a practice of gratitude. So if you're constantly feeling like you're not doing what you should be doing, or you're not getting where you need to go, you're comparing yourself to others, don't do it. Start this daily practice of gratitude, and it'll wipe out all of that chasing and the constant feeling of discontentment. It's just not healthy. All right. So that's number 1 is an attitude of gratitude and a daily practice of gratitude. Number 2 is switch tasking or multitasking. We did this with our team. If you're a team leader and you have team members, there's a really simple exercise. And you can probably Google this. I think it's the ABC, through Z, 1, 2, 3 through 26, and then the A1, B2, C3 type deal, where you time yourself doing A, B, C, D through Z, you time yourself, and then 1 through 26, then you time yourself when you're switching between the 2. Generally, you're about 4 to 6 times less productive, less effective, and less productive. It takes you 4 to 6 times longer, sometimes 7 or 8 times longer, to switch between the 2. So if you just say 1 through 26 and A through Z, generally it takes me about 10 seconds to do that. When I do, and I've done this about 10 times, I still can't do A1, B2, C3, D4, E5. I lose it. I can get through it. It takes about 40 to 50 seconds for me to go through that. So 4 to 5 times longer. So multitasking is a complete fallacy. It is impossible. Our brain can't even do it. A small percentage of the population can actually multitask, do 2 things at once. Most of us are switch tasking, which is A1, B2, C3. and you kill your productivity if you do that. And why this is geared towards someone building a business is that generally we have stacked so much stuff on our plate. We're probably still in production, working with buyers and sellers. We're now managing people. We're now recruiting people. We're also the CFO in our business. We're the marketer in our business. We are, maybe a parent or a spouse and a friend. And like, we are just setting ourselves up for failure. And we need to be way more productive than the average person. It doesn't mean you don't want to take your team members through this, because you absolutely do. You want to shine a light on the fact that switch tasking or multitasking, it is not a thing, and it's going to kill the productivity of your team. As business owners, we have so much that we piled on our plate that we cannot afford to switch task or multitask. All right, so that's number two. Number three, and this, my friends, is one that's going to sound like I'm preaching, but I will tell you, I've been there and I have struggled with digital addictions with all the best of them. And this is where typically it's not TV. I guess it could be TV, it could be news, it could be checking stocks on your phone, it could be social media. It's getting wrapped up in some sort of technology that is not in clear alignment with a meaningful goal in an area of your business or your life that matters. Like if you're telling me, and I say this right to our members, if you're telling me that you want to be a world-class dad, you want to be a world-class husband, you want to spend time with God, you want to take care of your physical body, you want to be a good son and take care of your mom, and you want to be a good sibling, and you want to have a hobby, and you want to run an amazing business and grow that business, and you're honest with me about where you're spending your time on social media and watching news and reading a newspaper and watching Netflix, and when you go home at night, what are you doing with your time, and are you actually showing up in the role as a parent and as a spouse in the way that you should, or are you checking out and you're doing those things that aren't moving you forward? So digital addictions is a real thing. It wasn't that bad, but the iPhone, and anytime you say but, it means it was the thing that you just said. I spent 2 hours and 44 minutes on Facebook in a week, and I don't even think that's a lot, but I'm the guy that teaches this stuff. And I've always known that social media is, for the most part, 99% of it just has you feeling completely like you're not where you need to be. Right? You're comparing yourselves with people's best version of themselves, and you're comparing it to like the worst of you. And yeah, did I say that the right way? The best of them. They're showing the best of them, which is an ideal that nobody's achieving. And so 2 hours and 44 minutes in a week, and I'm like, I'm done. Like Facebook off the phone, off my phone. Instagram, man, I was trying to make a business argument for having Instagram. And I mean, maybe there is an argument for it from a business corporate standpoint in terms of being a coaching company. But personally, I go on Instagram and I get a headache because everything is perfect on there. And I begin to question, not like consciously, but I actually get a headache. And so none of those things, any of those digital addictions, you've got to figure out a way to eliminate them. Facebook and Instagram, check yourself on those things. TV and news, check yourself on those things. Go 30 days without doing any of those things and see how much time you actually have to give back to the areas of your life and business that you say you want to improve, yet you're not making the tough decision about where you spend your time in terms of the technology and the digital addictions that we all suffer from. Man, me and Julie watched, if you really want to freak yourself out, me and Julie watched my wife, a documentary on, I forget what it was called. I think it was called Digital Addiction, something with digital addictions. And it was like a 15-year-old boy and then like a 40-year-old woman. She's a single mother. and this was a gamer. So he was addicted. The 15-year-old was addicted to gaming, and just all of the behavior issues. And it took him 90 days in a facility to get him off of the technology. We're going through this with our kids right now. We started tracking the time our kids spend on technology, and it is shocking. And we're just in the midst of it with them. So, not preaching here. I fail like all of us fail in a lot of these areas, personally and with our kids. And the woman, so on this documentary, she was addicted to social media and just putting herself out there and selfies, and then seeing how many likes. And like, to me, it feels a little crazy because I don't have that in my personality. A lot of people, though, they really do have it in their personality, where you're looking for likes, you're looking to engage with people, you're looking to like engage in this sort of Instagram, Facebook world that's not a real world, and it's not going to bring you any closer to anything that matters in your life or your business, and you're just not going to have the impact that you want to in your world. And I'm realizing lately that my purpose, more and more, I realize what my purpose is in Real Estate B School, and just in being in the world, and how I show up in my men's group, and how I show up, in my family relationships, is I just want to help people avoid regrets later in life. Period. I think the more you spend in technology, the higher the chances that you're going to have a lot of regrets in life. And so anyway, hopefully this doesn't come off as too preachy. If you're at the point where you just need help getting these things together, and you don't have the tools and systems in place to make your business more manageable, and it's just overtaking everything, and maybe some of these vices like social media and watching the news, maybe those are the things you go to numb out because your business is not set up the right way and it's taking over your life. That's when we need to have a conversation. We really only tend to a small segment of the real estate industry, those that have achieved success, traditional success already. So it's likely you have an administrator, you may have a small buyer agent team. You're probably 3 to 500,000 GCI on the low end. And we work with folks that have already achieved 3-4 million GCI on the high end. And there's no right or wrong in any of those businesses. A lot of the bigger businesses were set up wrong from the start, and they have significant challenges. So I love working with folks who are just sort of entering their journey. They've figured out how to be super busy as an agent. They've hired an administrator who's rocking it for them. And now we can come alongside them and help them really scale this team. Our coaching does lend itself to a business owner and their main operator. We do really well with somebody that has a really solid operator already in their world. So if that's you, go to realestatebschool.com. Your next step is obvious. It's apply now or grow my team, or check out our pilot program. Our pilot program is the entry point. It's 30 days where we're just going to work with you for free to confirm that you're a fit for our world. And it's going to be amazing. So if that's you, go to realestatebschool.com and take action right now. We'll see you over there.